Yeah, Breaking Bad AD, what red teams wish you fixed yesterday. So what I'm going to do is not a deep dive into red teaming and AD stuff, but more the basic stuff. So, pointing it upwards. Perfect. So that's pretty much me. I lived for 10 years in Australia. That's what you see down below my current position. So I've been there. Then I came back and I was lucky enough to join Lufthansa and pretty much build up the penetration testing team at Lufthansa Industry Solutions. So we're doing half the pen tests for Lufthansa Group, but also for external customers. And pretty much what I'm going to focus on later is what I've seen over the time that we've done the internal pen tests, but also mostly what we've seen with external clients. So what we're going to cover, I'm going to focus on that and also what we won't see so that you know what to expect. A little bit of history of ADs, then I'd have 2 case studies for you. Then quickly focusing on the attacks that we've seen with our external clients over and over again, where we pretty much been able to compromise Active Directories within minutes of just being there. Quick look at the tools and on how you can protect your networks and pretty much what you should do before we come around and test your networks. And finally, our conclusions. So what are we going to cover? Weak passwords, so it's about the user managements, user rights, the services, known vulnerabilities, misconfigurations on domain controllers. So what are they exposing? And finally, the users, the laptops, the clients, what do they expose? What can we get there? So what we won't cover, Entra ID. That's just a new thing that came up. It's a massive thing where you could have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 talks. I'm not able to cover that here, and also all the delegation part. And the other thing that we also see all the time is the trusts, how ADs are connected to other companies, to subdivisions. Just take it, for example, in my case would be Lufthansa connected to Swiss, to Austrian. That would be the trust. So we won't cover that because it's like hopping from one AD to another one. Now, AD attack history. So, Microsoft, I hope that works.
Okay, so what is the $64,000 question?
So, probably we all know Microsoft's been in a very good reputation. I hope some of the older ones of you, you remember Steve Ballmer with his speech with the developers. But Microsoft has been around for a long, long time, and even so has the Active Directory been. So it was introduced in 1990, and it massively grew over the years. But you can see the real work pretty much started just around the 2011 when Mimikatz was announced. I'm not diving into that too much. We've got the responder, Kerber roasting. All these kind of attacks, they just came over the last year. Let it be 15 years by now. I was just about to say 10 years. But it really started to build up and get more and more sophisticated. But on the same page, Microsoft is still running old systems. They just started retiring old stuff that should have been retired ages ago. And we're still seeing issues that are pretty much introduced, or they are built-in functionality of Microsoft or of the ADs. So I've got 2 case studies because it's always easy to see why am I talking about this. So my first case study was an investment fund that was back in Australia. They were a government fund, so they held all the money that all government workers pretty much received for their retirement fund. They were able to invest that. That was over 70 billion in assets. Funny thing, they've been audited before. So they had like the big 4 of the industry coming in, doing the audit, and then all of a sudden they decided, okay, we're going for small boutique because they got to know my boss, and they were like, we should do something together. We pretty much moved in, and we started off with like basic web pen testing. But then all of a sudden, I was lucky enough because my colleague, my boss was just calling me. He was like, we can't send him over because he looks like a Taliban, even though he was Australian. And he was like, they wouldn't let him into any government building. So we had to move things around. And yeah, I had to move into that government building with, pretending to be like a government worker. Worked pretty well. I sneaked in. I got access to pretty much anything. I was just sitting down and struggling with a coffee machine which was just for the management, and like pretty much their CEO helped me to help myself with a coffee, and he was talking to me, giving away a lot of secrets and all that stuff, just because he believed that I've been from Canberra, like from the main or head government. And yeah, they were moving me around. They were putting me into other rooms when they had meetings. They pretty much organized my way around the company at that time. And yeah, outdated AD, we were able to just plug ourselves in. We compromised everything. Yeah, you just name it. And it was not just bad user management in the Active Directory, but also on site. So they had a big wall where they had all their employees up with like their faces and what they are doing. So pretty much like take photos, match that to the AD, and you've pretty much had anything. So yeah, that was pretty easy. Took me pretty much a day or so to really dive deep into that. It was hard for them, but luckily they've been able to fix everything. That's why I'm able to disclose all of that. It's been like nearly 10 years by now, so it's all been patched. They're on a better path now. They already, a year later when we came back, it was fixed. So it was really a wake-up call for them to see that. And in the final discussion, what was interesting for us to see, that they said, we've done that for a long time, and we received reports that said, yeah, everything's okay. So kind of interesting. Second thing, we've seen that all over again because, I'm from Germany, northern part, Hamburg. We've got a lot of shipping companies. It's all about the port in Hamburg. So logistic companies are all around, and we're doing a lot of work with them. So that was a logistic company in particular that, was pretty German, I would say, but operating Europe-wide. 100 million in revenue. And the fun thing, again, door was open, anyone can walk in because that's what they are all about. They said, we have the truck drivers, they come in, they've got questions, anyone can walk in, walk out, plug in whatever you want into their network, leave whatever you want. It was kind of funny that they closed the doors by night. In Australia, once I heard they just locked the doors because of the snakes, so they don't come in. Otherwise, they wouldn't do that. If you just go to the outback for that kind of thing, that was like one of the funniest pictures I took once because they had a sign at the door. But yeah, it was pretty much the same here. Outdated AD, we just took it over. Like their main guy, head of IT, he just passed by and was like pretty much like I threw just words at him where we found passwords, and he was just like, that password should have been retired like 10 years ago. Is it still in use? Yes, it's still your domain admin. And your domain admin is used actually, not by me. Okay, other stories. So probably he wasn't alone in his network by the time. We told them, you should do something about it. You should do some research into that. Not interested, interestingly, we tried to convince the head of the company. He wasn't interested either. So it was pretty much like they just put up, we don't have enough people. We need like an administrator who's able to administrate Windows Server 2000. That's what they put up in the ad. And that's pretty much like we recommended to take down that ad because if you're telling someone you want to administrate Windows Server 2000, it pretty much tells everyone that you're still running that old stuff. By now 9 years nearly. So I hope that's been fixed. We haven't really heard back from them because it was just too much what we threw at them, but I imagine it must have been fixed, otherwise they would have been hacked by now. So the whole company was on fire. They told us we can't use multi-factor because our clients don't have mobile phones, or our employees, which was kind of interesting to me to see, but so they said it's impossible to use all that stuff. So what are normally the kind of attacks that we are running where we have quick wins? So on the domain controllers, it's the exposed services. It's all over again that we see RDP, WinRM, SMB shares that are not only used to store the bare essential data, but also used, for example, as file shares. don't use your domain controller as a file share. Unencrypted services, still around, gonna stay around. People love it. It's legacy stuff. And people normally tend to say we can't deactivate it because something is still using it. The bigger the company, or the bigger and the older the company are, the more likely you're going to encounter issues. For example, same with NTLM authentication. Either thing should be disabled, but still it's running around. And even if you have like big companies where they've got blue teams in, they normally tend to say, yeah, it might be an old service that is just running rogue. That's why we haven't picked it up. Yeah. Easiest thing as well is SMB signing and LDAP binding. Just, yeah, should be deactivated, or no, should be activated in that case. So it's really something that we see all the time, and it's not around. Kerberos roasting, we've seen companies where the Kerberos password was changed 15 years ago. People tend to forget that anyone can just crack that password. You download it and you can run anything against it. So it should be changed. Yeah, alias rep roasting, also around sysvol. Actually for the GPP encryption key, Microsoft back then leaked it by themselves. But if you've got a company that's been around from before that time, it's pretty likely, if you're talking about small and medium business, they are still using that, and you can get a lot of passwords from the sysvol if you're just running through that. Zero logon and print nightmare, it's just bugs Microsoft fixed, but patching your domain controller, yeah, might be a good thing. But what we also seen, like pretty much like that was, I guess, one of the best companies that I've seen in terms of that. They had like every major Windows Server version in their row. And it was one domain controller starting at 2000 and then just leveling up. And when asking, why are you running that many domain controllers? Yeah, we're just afraid of retiring the old one. And if we switch it off, something might break. Yeah, so in the end, you're just attacking the weakest chain in the link. And that was, yeah, the old domain controller where you just completely, yeah, rooted it and you could get access. Attacking passwords for users. Weak passwords. We see it all around. Many things, even domain admins sometimes. I guess the worst password for a domain admin that I saw, you can Google it. It's going to be in the ROCU list. It's SWAT 24/7, not even fitting capital letters, lower letters, not even 8 characters. But that was used also actively by many, many people, as far as we've been able to tell. Again, password reuse. In that case, it wasn't reuse, but we're seeing multiple passwords that are company related. So also always try to use blacklists. So just because I'm working for Lufthansa, anything connected to Lufthansa or planes or like capitals for the airports should be blacklisted. But that's pretty much the easiest thing that we can do. Password spray attacks, and it always works. And as soon as we've got the first user, it's just like getting your way through. Also, never expiring passwords, pretty common on, IT stuff, I would say, because they are lazy. Other things that we saw, the domain admin had 2 accounts, one domain admin account and one user account, and he was just lazy and he made his user account domain admin as well, just to speed things up. The multi-factor authentication down there, I just told you what we had at that company where they said, yeah, our truck drivers don't have mobile phones, we can't use multi-factor. Anyone can just log into their email addresses. As soon as we had the passwords, it was pretty much reading emails. Simple suggestion back then was I could send out a mail pretending to be your boss and doing something offensive. Probably you're going to shut that down. They didn't want to have that happen, but probably that would have been one of the things where they directly introduced multi-factor for anyone. Also, extensive access. We see that all the time. Anyone in the company can access any files. So I was just on holiday with a friend of mine, also from a shipping company, and I was just like, yeah, have a look at SharePoint, and he was just able to pretty much harvest SharePoint when we had a few beers, and he was like, oh, that was a nice party of the management. I don't know why I'm able to see it, and it was the same with all the stuff that they bought, so he was able to see a lot of things, and that's, again, one of the things where you should pretty much look in, is there any segmentation? Who is able to see what? Least privilege. Always try to keep that encouraged and really live that thing. Yeah, and finally, if you have domain admins and administrators and they're not in a protective user group, just put them in. It's a quick win. It really helps you and it helps the company. For the devices, now for the personal devices, companies nowadays try to limit it down that not every user is able to run software with local admin rights. So I'm just saying what I know at our company, pretty much nobody's able to run anything with local admin rights. So we are really beefing stuff up, and that is something that any company should do. Who really needs local admin rights? Because just keep in mind, if someone is breaching your computer and you've got someone else on the computer, like let it be a technical user, whatever, and they've been on there, you are able to dump the hashes and try to just crack the password, use that hash, and yeah, get in. Also, what we've been able to see during engagements, you've got like on normal computers that are used by real employees on a daily basis when they log in, let it be a laptop. You had RDP open. I don't know why you need RDP on a laptop so that your colleagues can connect in. SMB shares open. Anyone could write to it as soon as you've got those kind of issues. Yeah, good luck. Anyone doing a red teaming knows what happens here. And it's the same with all the other kind of services. If you've got SSH open on a personal device, I don't know if it's really necessary. Same with the FTP. So really try to lock things down and just use what's really necessary. So again, least privilege in that case. Quick introduction into relay attacks, what we do here. Attackers attack the DC. So keep in mind, it's just bare minimum. So not as deep as what you did in the morning. So really trying to keep it simple. So we trick the domain controller. That domain controller authenticates to a server or to something that we control with a hash that we need, or it authenticates with its own hash. So we're able to steal it or to relay it to another service and yeah, access that through it. So again, NTLM hash authentication should be disabled because easy takeover. It's the same with all the other stuff. We could have a whole talk about the templates and all the, I guess we're above 10. I guess the last time I checked was 11, ESC 11. Those kind of, the Active Directory certificate service was a great idea that should improve security. Nevertheless, it had many, many drawbacks. So really focusing on that would pretty much, we could leave around 10 p.m. probably if we're diving into that. But really try to look into those things, audit your things. There are many tools. I'm going to talk about the tools in a second. But Certify, for example, does a great job, not only for red teamers, but also for you as administrators. Just check what is it doing? Is it vulnerable to any of the ESC vulnerabilities? And then just fix those things. So now that we've been talking about all the kind of attacks that we are running, what is able to help us? So we've got the tools, Bloodhound. Probably anyone doing Active Directory stuff has heard of Bloodhound. It's fast results. It's running pretty quickly. In the new version, in the community version, it's simple to install. It's not that kind of, hassle you have to go through. It's free. Pro version is running for enterprises. But still, if you really want to understand it, you need a deep understanding of the queries because sometimes you might end up with things like that. And if I show you that and you just look at it and you try to find how do I get from here to domain admin, it's going to be hard. So you need to understand it, you need to run through it, and might be a long time until you see what's happening here. NetExec, formerly known as CrackMapExec, is a tool more or less for anyone, more red teamers, pen testers. It's highly technical. You need a deep understanding of the modules that are there, but the modules are getting added all the time. It's a community developed tool. You have great support. Just I've got the link down there. The wiki is amazing, and if you follow it on Twitter, for example, or X by now, you see as soon as new vulnerabilities come up, someone's going to implement that, and you can see stuff. So just a few screenshots, or 2 screenshots actually here. On the top, you can see you've got a password. You can do password spraying attacks with it. You can do enumerations with it. In that case, you easily can see that you have read and write permissions to the shares. You can list the shares. You can look inside the shares. It also tells you if the password, in that case, if he has local admin rights. That's why you see pawned. As soon as you have that, you're easy to, for example, on the bottom, you can see you're just saying SAM and you're able to dump the SAM, and it just gives you all the password hashes. You can see if they are able to log in. You can just take the tool, feed it into the next machine, just run through. It also tells you signing false, for example. That's on the top right where it says SMB signing in that case, so it hasn't been enabled. So really try to see that stuff if that is working, if you're really into that. Yeah, but finally coming to probably the easiest tool to use, and interestingly, it's free, it's easy to understand, it's ping castles. So it runs through your Active Directory, and it gives you a straight up score what you're looking at. And on the bottom, you can see the red parts are where you should directly take action. The yellow ones are kind of problem, and blue and white is, yeah, just for informational purpose. So it's an amazing job that he's been doing here. And I know that more and more companies start to even run the pro version where you have to pay for it, but still evaluating your own company quickly, it's still for free. So even for us at Lufthansa, we checked with him, the developer of it, is it possible that we run it on our Active Directory, or do we have to get the paid version? And what I've been told is that he said, no, you can run it on your for free. So we've been running the free version for a long time, even in our engagements, without having issues with that. So anyone having a company, just maybe check how your situation is, and you might come up with an idea that you should be doing something. It also tells you, for example, the account analysis, because I've been talking about accounts before, where it tells you how many of your accounts have been inactive, when do the passwords expire, many objects without password expiry, empty password, all that stuff. It's just easy there. If you want to have a solution, it also gives you that stuff. So it's really interesting and really good. So it's an easy tool which gives you an HTML and a PDF format as far as I remember. And I can just tell you, easy thing to use, the quickest results you can get probably, and it's cheap. So what's actually the conclusion that we have from pretty much just jumping into Active Directories, if you haven't done it before, you need to audit your Active Directory. It's around 90% of all companies are using Active Directories, and it's not something that you just put in place, you add users, done. No, you really have to look into it and have to see what is in your Active Directory. So it's all about Active Directory hygiene. But even big companies, sometimes you just have like 1 or 2 people looking after the Active Directory, and you outsource some stuff like adding people to some other tools. But you really need to look into that, because otherwise it's the ransomware part that we just seen before. If your Active Directory fails and lets you down, yeah, it's easy for any ransomware group to pretty much hijack your whole network, retrieve all the data, and exfiltrate anything. So audit, fix, and monitor. Try to see, is there a user that's been inactive that does, for example, suddenly something? You really have to look at those things. And yeah, finally, segmentation and repeat. You have to do it over and over again. So this is not something where companies just go like, yeah, we've done a pen test on our Active Directory, thanks, we're fine now. No, that's next year, it's going to look completely different. Probably a month from now, it's going to look different. You're going to, like I told you with the admin who was just lazy and said, okay, I'll take my own account and make him domain admin for probably one task. Or in other cases, what we had like special jump hosts. They've been set up for us by their IT team. The whole IT team had domain admin rights, and we had some issues. So can you please fix the issues on the machine? Yes, they log in. As soon as they logged in, yeah, done. We've been able to compromise pretty much the jump host. It was arguable if that was correct, but still, we've been able to get through, because on other machines, the same thing could have happened, that the IT team could have fixed something, and then anyone could have gotten their stuff. Yeah. Pretty much, that's it. Thanks. Any questions?